I'm Rob Morris, NPR News That Matters. You know, we've all heard politicians tell us on TV that if we want change, to call your congressman. Well, folks, today we're about to meet a man who just might be that go-to kind of guy for you. We'll talk to John Sidwell, who wants to represent Alabama's 1st District in the United States Congress. And we're just about to meet him. But first, here are some of today's headlines. A Trump tech aide gave a briefing to the president on the possibilities of OpenAI going rogue. The New York Police Department rescues 43 trafficking victims at the World Cup. And more than 150 medics are being deployed in Germany, and the Pentagon is also sending fighter jets and bombers east of the Atlantic Ocean. And as if we haven't had enough of it, health officials are probing a new cyclospora outbreak. And finally, the DOJ is probing New Jersey after finding 6,600 illegal people that were registered to vote, courtesy of the New Jersey Department of Motor Vehicles. Now, on with the interview. Well, we're here in the studio with Austin Sidwell, folks. I got the name wrong. My bad. Totally my fault. And when I was told about this gentleman, I was told his name was John Sidwell. His name is John Austin Sidwell, and he goes by Austin Sidwell, right?
I do.
Well, welcome to the studio.
Yeah.
Thanks for taking some time out to talk to us.
Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
My pleasure. Well, you know, like I said, folks, we're told, to call the congressman to get something done. You're going to be that guy, right?
Absolutely. That's why I'm running.
Well, tell us a little bit about yourself and what makes you want to run.
Absolutely. So I grew up in Baldwin County over on Fish River. Went to the United States Air Force Academy. Spent 12 years flying helicopters in the Air Force, both doing combat search and rescue in the Black Hawk, and then I was at Fort Rucker as an instructor in the Huey. Left there about 3 years ago and came back to Baldwin County to take over my family's security company. Been doing that ever since. Along the way, I got a MBA at Liberty University, and then started my law degree while I was active duty at Jones University or Jones School of Law in Montgomery, and then finished that up this past December.
Wow.
So, and a little bit about why I'm running. First of all, as a Christian, I think that God kind of leads us into places where He wants us to be, and I feel like this is a moment where He wanted me to step up and run for this position, but we don't know where that's going to lead. But every day I will kind of wake up and make sure that this is the path He wants me to be on, and try to follow that path. And the other reason is, I've got 3 kids at home, and you kind of look at the direction of the country and the future that they're facing, and I didn't like the direction and kind of what, when you come to affordability, a multitude of issues. I just decided to step up because they need someone advocating for them, and the next generation needs someone to look at the problems we have on the horizon.
Any kind of special legislation you like to see brought up and passed?
There's a multitude of things we can go about there. I've actually really looked at legislation that could help fix Social Security. So one of the things that came out a few weeks ago is, the largest Social Security fund is going to be insolvent in the next 6 years, 2032.
That's pretty scary.
And it's something that we're not addressing right now, right? Like we see Congress kind of stagnant on these big issues. So why aren't we talking about it? I've heard, the kind of subtle fixes of increasing payroll tax or increasing the age of which you could draw the benefit, and that's just neither one of those work. In the rise of the affordability crisis that's kind of going on right now and affecting the middle class really the most, you can't affect small businesses by increasing the payroll tax.
That's true.
And then we've increased the age of Social Security withdrawal enough as it is. Like at some point, we're going to be beyond the average age that people live to, and what's the point of it? You and I paid into it our entire lives. It's not a handout. It's something that we paid into that we should be able to get back. And right now, my generation's facing, we're not going to have it. I talk to people on the campaign trail all the time, and they just simply don't believe that it's ever going to be there. So there's some things that we need to address there. The other one is just getting back to a world where we have accountability for our representatives. I'm not going up there to be some celebrity in D.C. to sit on top of the hill. No, I'm going there as one of the people. This is a government made up of we the people, and I think we need to get back to that.
Amen. Amen. Wow, that was a mouthful. And you know, there's something about the Social Security too that gets me is all these illegal immigrants have been signed up for Social Security. They ain't paid a dime in Austin.
No, not
And
at
that
all.
really pisses me off, to tell you the truth.
It does, because it's our money that goes up there. The federal government doesn't make money; it's our tax dollars.
It's how much we paid into it
Absolutely.
to be able to get this at old age, and I'm on it.
Yes.
I'm absolutely on it. But now another thing about the Social Security thing is, you know, I know there's supposed to be no tax on Social Security now, according to the Trump administration. But now, forgive me, I think that if they was to give the seniors who are on Social Security a decent enough raise, they would put that money back into the economy. They would do things, go out to eat more, go on vacations more, cruises, whatever, buying new properties or whatever. I think that would be, because we're the most, we spend the money the more comfortably than, you know, just blowing it on some
Absolutely.
crazy
You're
stuff.
really pouring it back into.
We will invest back into the community
Absolutely.
with our raise. So I would like to see that happen.
I would like to see that, but first of all, we got to figure out where all the money's been going.
Absolutely.
$2.5 trillion has been taken out from Congress, and I'd like to know, like, we got to hold people accountable to that. We can't keep it as a general fund and expect it to be there.
True that. Okay, you're going to run out of the money sooner or later.
Well, we are in 6 years, according to the latest report.
Well, now you've heard about the New Jersey problem where they had 6,600 people registered to vote that were illegals, wasn't supposed to be on there. Now, if you was in Congress, would you support and back up and pass the Save America Act?
100%, as long as it doesn't have the pork attached to it. I'm not a fan of attaching a FISA renewal onto the SAVE Act, which the Senate tried to do. I'm not a fan of attaching these, you know, just pork spending. But I think that's the problem in the Senate. It got to the Senate, passed the House, got to the Senate, and they just wanted to attach more onto it. It should be a very simple bill. We want IDs for our election, and that's something the federal government can do. We want. I would like to see a national holiday on the day of the general election to vote.
Yes.
Right? And those are just simple fixes, but the ID thing is the biggest. We have got to make sure that our voter rolls reflect the actual population that should be voting. And I'm sorry, but the Democrat, you know, kind of talking point on this that somehow disenfranchises people is ridiculous.
It's total.
You got to have an ID to get anything in this country.
You heard about the Olive Garden's pasta pass, right?
I didn't hear about that.
Yeah, well, you buy a pasta pass at Olive Garden and you get to eat free for 13 weeks. Well, now, because so many people have been passing off their pasta pass, Olive Garden's now wanting to see their ID to match whoever got that membership.
Crazy concept, right?
You gotta have ID to get free pasta at Olive Garden. Why not to vote?
Because they like keeping the turnout low. They like manipulating elections, and that's just, you know, you saw the press conference by the president, was the last week or the week before, right, when he talked about election integrity. This is kind of just the basic thing that we need to do to make sure that our elections are secure.
Amen to that. Amen to that. I just want to put a side note on here. Coming up next month, you've heard of Dr. Douglas Frank?
I think so.
He was one with Mike Lindell whenever the 2020 election.
Yes.
He is like a real smart guy.
Okay.
Super smart. I've done met up with him and went to two of his talks here in Mobile for the Concerned Citizens for Election Integrity group here in Mobile. I'm a part of it. I'm the promoter.
Okay.
And anyway, to make a long story short, he's coming back for the third time. I'm finally going to get to interview him here in the studio, and he's going to Baldwin County and Daphne, I believe, for another talk about election integrity.
That's awesome.
Now,
I would love to be there and hear him talk.
You should listen to him because I mean he is phenomenal. He can look at data and see what's going wrong with elections. He shows you the voter rolls and all that mess. Oh, he's on top of it.
Okay.
He is something else. So you be sure to watch that if you can.
What's the date that he's coming here?
He's coming August. August the 20. Wait a minute. Hold on, I got it written down here. August 20th and 21st.
Awesome.
That's when he'll be here, and that's going to be a good interview because he's found out more stuff since he last gave the talk. We're going all over the country having these talks with people, about election integrity.
Well, I look forward to hearing it.
So, okay. Well, besides that, how do you feel about birthright citizenship?
I think that Justice Kavanaugh, when the Supreme Court decision came down, gave us the avenue that we can get away from it, right? So he pointed a federal law that actually prevents us from attacking that in the courts. And in his dissent, he basically gave Congress, fed it to them on a platter and said, here, if you want to end birthright citizenship, then here's the pathway to do it via the federal system. Congress doesn't move very quickly. Congress doesn't get anything done. Again, they're giving us the ability to attack some of these problems, just like birthrights. You shouldn't be able to come over here, have a baby, then go home.
Exactly. Because if you were from China and did that, which a bunch of them have already, they become American citizens, go back to China, be raised as a communist in China, get old enough to vote, come back over to America and screw up some elections big time in all kinds of places, especially with voter fraud.
And that was not what was intended when that was put in.
Of course not.
You can look at the legislative history there, and they never intended it to be something where you could shop out, essentially shop citizenship, where you have people come over here and have babies and go home.
And somebody make a lot of money off of it. Some hospitals, some doctors, and
pay attention to some of these NGOs that Vice President Vance is going after. That's where a lot of these issues come. The fraud. Scott Besson points to $2 trillion worth of fraud in this country. Like, we should stop federal spending until we find that $2 trillion. How about that?
Well, that would be a good idea for some programs, but there's others,
I know.
We need to keep money going.
We got to keep it going, but we got to figure out where it's all going to.
You're right about that. And I'm looking forward to them finding all this and being able to get back a lot of this fraud money, because could you imagine if they could get back, say 50%, 40% of all the fraud that's been stolen from our government, from us, the taxpayers, it would just about be enough to get us out of debt.
It would be close to
pay the national debt.
It would definitely get us really close to having a balanced budget.
Exactly.
And that's something we have to. We can't continue to add to the debt. We're not going to fix that overnight. But the first step is getting back to a balanced budget where we're only spending the money that we bring in.
Now, you mentioned the way they are, Democrats and the illegal aliens are able to manipulate the fraud and all that here in our country. Now, what do you think? It's been my thought. I'll lay this out for you to start with, Austin. It's my thinking that the Muslims that are here, let me correct that. People that follow Islam that are here, they are using our own Constitution on us to be able to set up their mosque and install Sharia law. They say that Islam is a religion. I say bullcrap. It's an ideology. It's extreme. In their Quran and their religion, they think, I don't know if you know this or not, but they think that if they can cause the end of the world like our revelations in the Bible, then they'll bring forth the 12th Imam, and that'll be the end of everything. They'll all go to heaven.
And they're allowed to lie to us based on the
right?
And as the only one in this race that's been to law school, right? So we can talk free exercise clause. The free exercise clause doesn't allow you to encroach on other people, and that's exactly what Sharia law does. Mm-hmm. It goes beyond our laws, and you don't get the ability to exercise your religious practices that go against our laws that we have in place here. And that's where we have to attack this, right? You're free to come here, you're free to practice however, but as soon as that extends and affects other people, I mean, I know that you've talked about, the fact that they marry young ladies, the fact that, just the way that they treat women in general, that goes against our laws. I mean,
exactly.
We've said it before, look at polygamy, right? And you look at the Mormon church and things like that, that goes against our laws, so we were able to outlaw it. It doesn't go against the free exercise clause to do that. So we have the constitutional right to prohibit people from superseding our laws with some sort of religious law.
Interesting. I like this guy. Now tell me something else now. What about all these mass deportations? You support that?
Absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely.
You back ICE up?
Absolutely, of course. I
No about
back
ICE.
any law enforcement agency, federal, state, local. They're the backbone of what keeps our society, and let's paint this picture, right? So, immigration. I think about it like a house fire. If you go up to a house fire, are you going to figure out what's going on, or are you going to put out the fire first? Right? Mass deportations is us putting out the fire that the Biden administration, the Obama administration before that lit. We had to get the 25 million, 30 million people out of this country in order to get to a place where we can actually fix our immigration law. And there is a lot of room that we need to fix in our immigration law. But we can't get to that when we're seeing this massive influx. Not for our open border. We don't have our sovereignty as a state with an open border. It doesn't work.
That's true. Now, I want to wrap this up with you. I got to ask you about disclosure. The UFO files has been released by the Pentagon and the White House. What do you think, man, about this disclosure?
This is just my opinion, right? I know insider information on this, right? I see it as a good and evil thing. I think that when we start talking, whether it's aliens, any sort of things like that, I think that there's probably some demonic forces there. I have no idea, no evidence, but as a Christian, I try and look at it within that lens, and you know, we don't know what those forces look like. We don't know exactly the extent of what the universe looks like and how they interact with it. So I've heard some talks about the demonic side and the evil side of this, and it wouldn't blow my mind at all to figure out that that's what it is. But I'm open to any of it, and I don't think that the government has a right to hide information.
No, not at all. Now, speaking of demons and as ETs, wouldn't there be angels and demons as ETs? That is good and bad, just like it is here.
Absolutely, and like I said, I don't know what that kind of the nuance of that argument, but I believe in angelic beings and demonic beings, and I think that that's a real thing. And for them to manifest in ways that we don't quite understand, it's a possibility.
Well, I think it would be pretty. I think they're trying to acclimate us right now, releasing these files every 2 weeks. I mean, you can't tell nothing by them, really.
No.
You don't know what the wind speed is, how fast they're going, how far away they are. There's no way to measure anything in these videos.
And I will say, as a military pilot for 12 years, disappointed that I never got to see any of those things. I was looking for them. There was one night, and I got to tell you this story real quick. So we were up at Fort Rucker on a night flight.
Really?
NVGs and everything. And we're sitting there. There were only 3 helicopters out that night because it was about midnight, 1 a.m. I don't know. It was super late. I was trying to get a student finished. And all of a sudden, we just saw flashes in the light. Just boom, 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 as fast as you could see. And I hit the radio, and I went to one of my guys that was in another helicopter. I was like, "Are you seeing this? What is going on?" Turned out that it was SpaceX launching the satellites. But I'm telling you what, everyone in the MOA or in the area there was like freaking out. The comms were going nuts. So I'm disappointed that I never saw that, but I wasn't flying a jet, so I didn't always, we weren't in those environments over the ocean and stuff. But I don't know. I've heard some stories from some of my pilot friends.
I bet you have. Now, it seems to me that there's only one man on earth who can bring disclosure to the world, and that's Donald J. Trump.
I think so. I think that's why we love President Trump, is because he was an outsider. He was a disruptor. He was someone that didn't kowtow to the special interests, to the establishment idea up there in Washington, D.C. If anyone can do it, he can. But let me say this. When we look at Congress, don't we want the same kind of outsiders, the same kind of non-establishment people in there? That's what I'm trying to bring. I'm trying to bring different new ideas. I think we need some fresh perspectives in Congress. And look, I'm going to fight for accountability and transparency in our government.
Oh, I sure am glad you came by, man. It's been a pleasure talking to you. Now, I've got to ask you one last thing. College football is right around the corner.
Yes,
Roll Tide, War Eagle.
So I actually played my freshman year at the Air Force Academy, so I played a little bit of college football.
That's cool.
Very
what
cool.
position?
I was a center.
Okay.
Got in, I lost like 55 pounds during basic, and then showed up, and they're like, We had an offensive. We thought you were an offensive lineman. So my college football career didn't last very long, but my family went to Alabama. My mom, all of her sisters went to Alabama, so I did grow up an Alabama fan.
Roll Tide.
Yeah, that's it right there.
Well, look,
Can I ask one question?
Sure.
You think Congress should get involved in that?
I've got mixed emotions about it. I'm really not sure on all the issues of players getting money. And in college, I'm getting signed up.
Yeah.
Big money, big schools. It doesn't seem like that could be fair.
Yeah, I don't think it's fair either, but I don't know how much Congress should be getting involved in that. I think beyond antitrust and the stuff we're seeing with the NCAA, handle that. And then I don't know if I want my federal government getting involved in that.
That's a good point. I like the way you're thinking on that. Now, if by some way you do get elected in office, Austin, would you allow Mobile Pirate Radio to come interview you?
Absolutely. I see it as an honor. One of the things we talked about is we got 4 counties in the district each quarter. So we're going to go to each county and hold a town hall. So that'll be something that we do continuously throughout my term.
That'll be awesome.
We want to do podcasts and some online Zooms and stuff like that, so people have the option to ask me questions in real time. So
Yes.
we'll include you on that rotation. We'll make sure that we give people access.
That would be awesome. I'm excited about that.
Yeah, man.
Man, okay, well listen folks, August 11th is the election day. Now, you got to go out and vote for one of 3 guys running for District 1
That's it.
in Alabama for U.S. Congress. And right now we have Austin Sidwell, and one of my favorite interviews so far in the game. I want to thank you again for coming by, Austin.
Thanks, Rob.
Been a pleasure talking to you, man.
It's been awesome. Yeah, I really enjoyed this.
It's been great. It's been great. We're going to get together again.
Yeah, let's get a plug for Jeremy Clark's open house, Cowboy. Yep, we've got Vets the Cowboys. Jeremy Clark is having an open house out at his place. I just posted something on my Facebook. Go to Sidwell for Congress and just check it out. Saturday's National Cowboy Day, and he's having an open house to show what great things he's doing out there.
Yes, and if you RSVP the C4 Cattle Company, then you can be there and eat a free lunch. Because I understand Jeremy Clark is going to be cooking some beef.
Oh, and he does.
Oh, I'm looking forward to that. Yeah, I'm planning on being there
Me
as
too.
well.
I'll be there.
Awesome, man. Look, cowboy up, son.
Let's do it.
I'm Ron Morris from Mobile Pirate Radio. I want to thank you all for joining us today.